Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Liepard. Now, Liepard is a Pokemon that when you first look at it, the stats mean almost nothing. That when we see it, 50 on the defenses, 64 on the hit points, this Pokemon's not going to survive anything. And then it only has 106 speed. Now, 106 speed on a Pokemon that has good offenses, maybe some extra bulk, pretty nice, but it's just 106 on 88 attack and special attack. It seems like the Pokemon doesn't have much identity. However, Liepard is a very powerful Pokemon because it is one of the few Pokemon that get Prankster. Now, almost every Prankster Pokemon can be really, really good, and Liepard is no exception to that. So we're going to talk about that more. Like, the stats on a Prankster Pokemon, depending on what you're going for, can matter, but with Liepard, stats aren't everything. That we already get the +1 priority on status moves, so we don't really care about anything else. Look at its typing, it's going to be a pure Dark typing. Pure Dark, standard stuff, Fairy weakness, Bug weakness, Fighting weakness, immunity to Psychic, and you resist Ghost and Dark. Also, your offenses are going to be pretty good. That with Dark typing, you don't have to worry about any ability or typing that's going to make it to where you're immune by something, so you're going to hit really consistently on the Dark typing. Let's just get into Pokemon Showdown because there is so much to Liepard to talk about. Alright, so first off, we gotta talk about Swag Play. Swag Play is entirely busted on Prankster Pokemon. So the idea is a Pokemon that's playing setup or stall, that if they're going for setup moves or status, you just substitute, they whiff their attack, and then you get freeness forever. You throw out a Swagger. Well, Swagger makes it to where they're confused. Confusion has a 50% chance of hitting themselves and then dealing damage based off of their physical attack. Well, what Swagger does is it raises their attack by 2 stages, so if they hit themselves in Confusion, they deal more damage to themselves. However, if they are a physical attacking Pokemon, they end up dealing more damage to you. The idea is, against a setup Pokemon or special attacker, this doesn't matter. Even then, if you already have a substitute up and the opponent brings in a physical Pokemon, it can be safe to throw out the Swagger because, well, Swagger goes out, if they hit themselves in Confusion, they do a ton of damage, and then you pretty much win from there. After that, you set up Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is going to make it to where they have a very low chance of attacking. Paralyzes the target, 25% chance for full paralysis. It also reduces their speed, so you're going to outspeed them with Foul Play on the next turn, and then their Swagger. So pretty much all Liepard needs is in one rotation for the Pokemon to hit itself in Confusion, and then the opponent Pokemon goes down for free. In very unlucky cases, the opponent might get fully paralyzed and hit themselves in Confusion in like back-to-back turns or something, and then Foul Play cleans them up and you take no damage. So that's why you want to try to come in on a setup Pokemon. That if the Pokemon's setting up and doesn't break your sub, the opponent switches out or something like that, now you have a free get out of jail free card. And then, even then, whenever your opponent's like using offensive attacks, you keep setting up substitute. They're doing something like Rock Slide, like Hydro Pump, like Play Rough. They're trying to hit you with moves that have lowered accuracy, that if the chance that it misses. So it misses, you have free substitute, then you go into that. You just need to play around it a bit. Leftovers means you're going to get sub often, and other than that, the stats don't really matter, because again, we're looking at a Pokemon that is so frail that if we invest like full into hit points and then some into the defense, we might be a 2-hit KO Pokemon by going full defensive investment. At the same time, we're a Prankster Pokemon, and in a lot of cases, Pranksters, they're either going to fully invest in speed and outspeed you anyways like a Whimsicott, or they're not going to invest too much into speed, so it really doesn't matter. You can maybe try to find some like interesting points right here. So say we bring in a Pokemon like Whimsicott, other Prankster Pokemon, it's going to be faster than you, that has 268. So when it comes to speed on that, we'd want to outspeed that, maybe put in some extra points, I don't know, like something around 100 EVs. That means we should get a really safe outspeed, depending on if they were like going for 4, 8, or 12 EVs on a speed creep or something. Then the idea is, well, Whimsicott's also Taunt, so it's going to shut you down anyways, but you might get the Swagger off or something, so that's just things to consider. Other Prankster Pokemon aren't really like the worst thing. You'd probably like try to deal with them in a different way, but Liepard, since it plays off the Prankster, we can just hit point invest anyways, and then maybe go for the defensive bulk since we are running Swagger. So yeah, that's like standard Swag Play Liepard. There's a couple of like little things that people change around depending on preference, but that's going to be it for the most part, and then you just play for the luck. After that, we also have Unburden Liepard. Now, when you think Liepard, you're thinking almost always going to be like exclusive Prankster, but actually Unburden is a very, very powerful ability. Speed is doubled on held item loss or consumption, so the idea is, since Liepard is such a frail Pokemon, you're pretty much always going to survive, which is why we just play that Focus Sash game. So we bring it in as a revenge Pokemon, we have to make sure there's no entry hazards, but then we just set up. So Nasty Plot, we get dropped down to 1 hit points, Unburden's going to double our speed, So now we have 600 speed, 600 special attack, and we're just going to be throwing out monstrous hits. So Dark Pulse is going to turn into some pretty serious damage, and it might find some KOs there. We also have Hidden Power Ice. Hidden Power Ice, we can crush through Salamence, we can outspeed Salamence, even if they're going for like Dragon Dance. What you do is you play those mind games. So say you go Nasty Plot, they go Dragon Dance. Well, then you have like more opportunities to do whatever. You set up a second Nasty Plot. Now you really get some sweep in there. They hit you, Focus Sash pops. Now you're going to be faster than them on the next turn. Just outspeed and KO them. So we actually saw something similar to this on a Fan Fridays. Once you get set up, you just become a steamroll of damage. Fake Out, that's if you bring in Liepard in, you suspect that they have some kind of Focus Sash. You just kind of neutralize that turn, but you also remove their Focus Sash. Then that's when you set up your Nasty Plot, get dropped down, anything like that. Against certain setup Pokemon, you might be able to get free Nasty Plot. So if you get free Nasty Plot, free 2 Nasty Plots, KO them, you still have Focus Sash up. That could be really big if they do find a way around you with Priority. Priority is pretty much Liepard's weakness, that if it outspeeds and outprioritizes, you know, Brave Bird from Talonflame going to obliterate you, but if you already have a bit of setup and your Focus Sash isn't procced by that point, then you're going to be good to go. So that's going to be just like what you can do with Liepard. Also, Copycat. So we can kind of take the last set, but make it work with Prankster. We set up our Nasty Plot, and then we Copycat our own Dark Pulse. And that's kind of going to be our engine there. So if we can, when we can, we set up a substitute. That way if they're going for status, you know, we just wall out their status. And then we can either Copycat their status if we need to, or set up our own with Nasty Plot. So then we go Nasty Plot, and then Dark Pulse. Here's the excellent thing about Copycat. Copycat uses the last move used in the battle, even if it was your move. So if you knock out your opponent with Dark Pulse, that was the last move used. That was the last used move. That means they didn't have a chance of like retaliating or anything. Or if they moved in front of you, they broke your substitute, Dark Pulse KOs them, and now you Copycat them. So now you have a +1 Nasty Plot boosted Dark Pulse that can really work out. So it's a bit trickier to set up. Like you need that substitute, you need to get the Nasty Plot off, and then you have to hope on the Copycat engine. But once that happens, you're good to go, and then you can run a Life Orb with this. So it's going to be more damage in the same amount of time, and also better priority. Actually becomes priority +1 because it's using Copycat to copy the move and then gain that, and then it's getting more damage from the Life Orb. So more reliable KOs off of just one Nasty Plot, trickier to set up, but if you understand how it works, we've seen this on Fan Fridays as well, it's a very powerful strat that has a chance of working. And then we have Ultra Gimmick. So Ultra Gimmick is going to be pretty radical. First off, the speed is going to be very crucial. I was thinking we just invest Liepard like this, even though we don't have like too much survivability, since there is split damage on multi-targeting moves. So if we have Earthquake, Rock Slide, the split damage might be enough to survive if we like invest hard into our defenses. But 96 speed EVs is going to be amazing because we need that 272 in a level 100 format, or if we're playing level 50, let's make sure that we have all these numbers right. 138, and then that's going to be 139. So we're safe on that depending on how we want to run the EVs, but that's kind of all there is to it. Now we make sure that we're playing Copycat correctly, because that's what this strategy is about. The idea is, first turn, you use Roleplay on Smeargle. Now Smeargle gets Prankster. GG. Like, Smeargle with Prankster is probably the most terrifying thing that anyone can think of. Liepard, it's going to Fake Out. So you Fake Out your opponent, then the other Pokemon, they have a chance of hitting Smeargle. Smeargle has Focus Sash, so it's going to survive. You Fake Out your opponent's Taunt or Status Pokemon just to make sure that nothing goes wrong. And that's kind of it. After that, you have Dark Void. So now it's a Prankster Dark Void. Your speed doesn't matter, so you just throw out the Dark Void, and you're good to go. After that, Liepard used Copycat. So now you're double Dark Voiding. The idea behind this is Dark Void has 80% accuracy and hits both opponents. There's a chance your opponent might have one of them not go to sleep, so you double up on that Dark Void, you make sure they both go to sleep, and then you just play it off from there, depending on how Smeargle's doing. If it has Endeavor going for it, like if it's at 1 hit points, use Prankster Endeavor, and then you can hit him with a Snarl. So that Pokemon's going to go down pretty effectively, or you can also just like Protect. If you use Protect, then Smeargle goes for Teeter Dance. So it's a priority Teeter Dance. And then you just get the Endeavor, and then you try to cycle damage from there. Depending on how shut down your opponent is as well, that's when you can maybe make some switch outs. You already have your Smeargle completely set up with Prankster. Switch out Liepard, you can save it for a different time, and then you just bring in something to blow up your opponent's asleep and confused Pokemon that are potentially at 1 hit points. So if you play it really safe around that, you can get something done. And that's just going to be Prankster Smeargle. Now you can put in other kind of moves here that are going to be very, very devastating. But I like this idea, you know, once you get the Prankster, you can do anything. Dark Void Prankster on Smeargle, terrifying. And then Liepard also has like Copycat potential. If it survives a hit and it's in red, then you can also kind of throw out some other moves. If you Protect, you know, Endeavor, Protect. The next turn, just throw out the other endeavor on the Pokemon, Snarl, then you get the double KO because Snarl hits both opponents. It also has the potential of being a huge anti-lead Pokemon. You throw on the Thunder Wave, you just distribute status across a lot of your opponent's team. Lumberry, Mental Herb, Citrus Berry. You have a couple of options with Liepard in that regard as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, all the shenanigans of Liepard, I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.